Hello, we're rocking on into the last day or partway through the last day of July, and I imagine that many of you are having similar experiences to what I'm having. So there's this real sense of us, those of us who, in a way, have crossed into the higher, the kind of maybe pedaling back and forth a bit, but there's this real sense of having already reached a new space, a new, I want to say dimensional space, but a new way of being as well. So I know that my experience has kind of been a really, hard to even describe, but this big kind of inner self-reflection about my new process. So I do want to, I know I spoke about it a little bit the other day, but I wanted to speak about that a little bit more. And something that came up with a client was crossing the Rubicon. And I didn't actually know what that meant, and I had to look that up. And so there's a sense that that's what we're doing as well. And there's also a sense that the first wavers are already mostly experiencing, playing around with the fifth dimension and the creation codes that have started to, if you like, dribble in maybe. And that really one of the roles that we're now playing is holding space for the collective of humanity to awaken. And can't you feel the beauty in that? I mean, that really, speaking that out loud really touches my heart. Hello, Carolyn, and hi, Sally. Yeah, so I'm just here in between hacking and seeing clients and still awaiting this baby. So just been speaking to my daughter-in-law about how she's going and what's happening for her, and so she's doing well. So I was just checking in with her because our mental health when we're having this anticipation of a baby arriving and everything gets set for a sort of time frame, doesn't it? And then when the time frame is kind of exceeded and everything is done and in place, it can be a challenge. Anyway, she's doing really, really well. So that's happening in my life. I'm excited about his arrival, and then I'm moving house, of course. And so I want to speak to you about that a little bit more, just to explain like this process. So it's like I declare the next thing and it shows up. So I said, oh, so I'm moving, and then I cried, and so because I got told that my lease wouldn't be re-signed, my lease would expire at the end of October, and so I'm like, okay, well, that's a bit of time, and then I'm like, oh well, I'm going to Bimini, and I'm doing that at the end of this month, and so I was sort of just tossing that around, and anyway, I cried, and I allowed myself to cry, as I said, and then I declared, oh well, I wonder where I'm going to move to, or I'll have to find somewhere else to live. And I went and looked. So I signed up. I went and looked at some houses that were available, and there wasn't one that worked. And then, in terms of a whole lot of parameters, for clients and parking and noise and all the rest of it. And then I had a friend who said, I have a friend. And so that friend messaged me and said, come and have a look, come and see if you want to have a look at this house that I have. So I went and met her there, and she said, well, you can move in here, and you can move in here anytime you like. And I said, that'll be fantastic. So that's what I'm doing. But you can see that didn't take a lot of effort, right? And then, so I know that I'm moving, and I don't know exactly when. And then I say, oh, well, I suppose I'll have to do something with my furniture. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. So I was in that query. And then somebody who does some work for me said, well, my mother and her partner are moving house, and they don't have really, they don't have very much furniture at all. And so they arranged to come and see me a couple of days ago. And in a couple of weeks, they are coming up with a truck. And basically, they're taking nearly all of my dining room and my living room furniture. And some of it they're going to buy, and otherwise they're going to store it at their house until I might want to do something else with it. And then I thought, oh, I better find somewhere to store. And I did a little bit of just checking online, and I found a place that's local. It was actually the first place. I didn't even look any further. And they have a special on at the moment. So if I pay for 3 months, I get a month free. So it's like very little action on my part, and yet, things are coming. And I feel that this is working with the new way of creation. It's the stating of the inquiry to the universe, and then the universe can deliver. So it's stating what, but not necessarily knowing how or why. And so I am curious to hear what's your experience of this new creation energy and how that's showing up for you. But yeah, it's interesting. These times are interesting. I should speak about the divine masculine while I am here as well. So for me, the divine masculine are showing up as really starting to be in their fields, their FEELS, and in their heart space. So they're definitely examining more of their heart space. Their heart space is beginning to, I know we've spoken about this, but this is like another level of it. And to me, it feels like they're really in the being pulled, the recognition of where they're meant to be and who they're meant to be with and what they're meant to be doing. So mission and purpose and partnership, the energetics of that, the frequency of that is really, I want to say, sounding loudly for them. So they are feeling that heart, they're feeling that love, and they are, hearing. It's like, I want to say that they're hearing the sounds, they're noting the frequencies, they're feeling pulled up, and they're feeling pulled to mission and to purpose, and all of this wraps up. And so that is where I want to say they are, and they are in the throes of the disentanglement of all that holds them in the old. And the old, of course, is the lower, the 3D. So their energetic body and their higher mind and higher consciousness is now, I would say, having some fairly direct and insistent dialogue with the lower self. So their higher mind, their higher consciousness, having dialogue with their lower mind, with their lower consciousness, and then that weaves into their heart, and their soul are having a greater influence and a greater impact on the decisions that are made. And it's my sense when I read the energetics of that they are in the disentanglement of what holds them in the lower. And I want to tell you that for some of them, that might be 5, 7, 8, 9 different things. And so it may not happen in an instant, but it's my belief that they are very much in the throes of that. So if I go back to the 29th of July, which would be my dad's birthday if he were here, but he's off in the other realms. And this is what I got. Huge energies arriving. I did write a post about this. And you may feel very in the extremities, the fullness, the capacity, perhaps feeling anxious, teary, incapacitated, and an inability to take action. So it was like this movement. It's interesting because it was like this sense of change, but not really knowing what it was. It was like the ground moving under the feet, and that not being too much of a problem, but the but was I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what the next thing is. So that was creating some sort of nervousness, some anxiety for people. And I think, that's what we're learning to traverse. We're learning to be with the unknown, to learn to journey with what is right now, and to not throw ourselves into the pondering and the worrying and the anxiety that comes with the old way of being, which is, look at the plan, do the plan, write the plan, and then follow the plan. That's 3D problem solving. And now we are stating what we need and seeing what shows up. That's another way of doing that, I guess. Yeah, so I wrote in here this inability to take action, and it was because it was almost like we were being unplugged. We were being, if we had this sort of suction plate on the bottom of our feet, we were being removed from there, but we weren't quite sure in which direction to go. So I wrote in here, relax and breathe and take it easy. We're being inducted. That was the word that came. We are being inducted to a new and higher saturation of light codes today. So this is the 29th. So go gentle. It's incredibly fast moving. So it was new and it was very fast. And so we didn't know what to do with it, how to manage it, how to respond to it. And I wrote in here, and be very honouring of self. It's really important that we all do that at this moment. We are all venturing into the unknown as individuals and as groups and as a collective. So I felt very much an overwhelm on that day. I had a lot of tears and I just let them flow. And they came very, very easily. And so I just sat with them, and I didn't actually have too much recognition of what they were or what they related to. And I didn't worry because I knew that if there was something that I needed to attend to around it, it would show up. Yeah. And then the 30th, synchronicities as we ascend and align. Absolutely, absolutely, Sally. And you know what? All we have to do is recognize them and, I guess, celebrate them. So on the 30th, I wrote in here, there's as all that we sense is coming, we know that it will be world changing. We don't really know how. Are you having, because this is the other thing I noticed, shorter sleep patterns and shorter sleep cycles? That's been my experience. I feel like maybe 3 times in the night I wake up and I think, oh, is it time to get up? Have I finished? Have I done? Am I complete with my sleep? So what's happening with you for that? Honestly, the last few nights, well, it's only the 31st. Time feels so expanded to me as well. Hi, Amanda and Megan and Billy. Oh, I thought I saw someone else's name there as well. And hello, Charlotte. If I haven't said hello to you, I get confused when I'm going up and down the list. Yeah, and I wrote, are you also feeling less interested in your daily work? Because that's another thing that I read in the energetics. And I feel it's because there's this idea that goes with, oh my God, yeah, all that is old. We're just leaving all of that. That's all old 3D stuff. And we don't actually know how this is going to measure up on this side of the bridge or the leap or the consciousness dimensional shift. But we're like not very interested in what's going on over here at the moment. And so I want to say, just be mindful that you just be in your heart with it, because it's going to be quick, I feel. And so, you might have even moved through that already, but that was what I wrote about it very early yesterday morning. feeling less interested in your daily work and wanting to devote greater time to yourself, to your inner work, to your being, as though you are feeling disconnected from lineal time, and you are detaching from this lineal reality. This what I wrote in here, that we are sensing this dimensional shift. We know it's coming, but we don't know how it's going to show up, and we don't know precisely when. But our being has this knowing of it. It's this clear cogniscience, if you like. It's this knowing. It's our cells know. Our higher consciousness knows, and yet we're in this navigation of this transformation. We are transcending into the higher, and the collective is coming into their awakening and their transformation. That's why I wrote that: arising and awakening, transcending and transforming, because the first wave is arising and the collective is awakening. The first wave is transcending into the higher, and the collective is transforming. So they are going through transformation more, I would say, in their physiology, coming into their higher frequency in the body, this physical cellular change out of carbon into crystalline, which we have in many ways, processed well through that. The physical being is experiencing exhaustion. I know that many of you are, and I am certainly having, like, in and out of that, actually. So 1 minute or one day, one day I have just this incredible amount of energy to be this doer, and then another day I'm like, I have nothing to give. I have no energy. And so I've been honoring that and just celebrating the being, just being in amongst nature and observing the trees and the birds as I do. So as you navigate this change and assimilate the upgrades, which is the process, and they are rapid, and you are connecting with more of your own divinity. I mean, it's beautiful. And perhaps you're beginning to connect in with those who belong to your soul group, who are part of your, what you could look at as your circle of 12, and there'll be layers of circles of 12, and you might belong to more than one. And mission partners, why you're here, what you're here to do, and they may be your divine counterpart, or it may be someone else, as well as divine counterparts. So all of those kind of connections, those threads beginning to form through the ethers, I want to say, and in the physical world. We're in this ongoing and continuing purification, like right down to the nth, to the ancient, to the cellular, to the molecular. And then there's also this notion I want to suggest about just checking in with yourself. Are there lessons here? Is there anything that you ought to have learned that you haven't? Is there anything specific that you need to release that you haven't? So I'll just say this in here, even though it's a little bit out of order, but in terms of our coming into tomorrow, into the August, I wrote in here, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? Who are you going to be to come into being more creative? So this is creativity on the broadest spectrum that you could ever imagine. It's more about the energy of it coming into the creative flow. And you might find that you can explore that by being creative. But it's really that, to me. It's about our coming into the energy of creative flow. And it's also about experiencing the nature of being as opposed to the aspect of doing. And being in the experience of creative flow, or creating the experience of flow. And then today, what came is fine frequency electrical energies registering very strongly in the head, specifically in the crown area, actually. So when I started to attune to that, I could sort of feel it generally, and then I realized that it was becoming more centralized in my crown area. And what I got around that was this was the higher light codes continuing to stream in, because they're not just trickling in, they are streaming in to the Earth's atmosphere and into us, of course, many having regular patterns interrupted. This is not just sleep patterns. This is patterns in general. It's it shows up to me as you could call it a deliberate disruptor. So we are being interrupted with our patterns, our sleep patterns, our work patterns, our exercise patterns, our doing patterns, things that we, create and manage, and the lists that we run, and the chores and the tasks that we do. We are having those deliberately interrupted, interfered with, because this is breaking down the old. So in this personal breaking down the old, that impacts the more kind of group patterns or social patterns, community patterns, family patterns, the clusters, the groups, the collectives. So this is the old ways of thinking, of behaving, and the old and redundant patterns. So all that doesn't serve us in the higher, the movement out of the old and into the new, and yet the unknown, and it's all occurring at the same time, which is why it's a bit of a mind blast, really, because we are managing it in many, many ways and on many levels and all simultaneously. The deeper purification, the old programs being broken, the new coming in, the expansion in the mind, I don't really give a toss about any of this anymore. And so all of this kind of fragmenting things up, and it's very much in the reality of everything coming into the 0 point. Hello, Tamala. So let me have a look here at the yes, Sally's saying holding space for the collective. Yes. And I think I've said hello to all of those people. Oh, Amanda, I don't know if I've said hello to you. Excuse me. Sweet CC, she's saying, OMG, yes, barely sleep, usually sleeping at 9 p.m, being 2 a.m. till 7 a.m, and that's all. Zero interest, just blah. Even food is just blah. Yeah, well, I've still been on my Mandarin addiction, which probably I ought to heave-ho. Excuse me. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing. And avocado. Chrissy, is that, are you responding to your lack of interest in things and even food? Sweet says, a few nights ago, feet were itchy, crazy ley line energy coming through, very intense. Yeah, the itchy feet is interesting, and the feet in general. So what showed up the other day around the feet for me was, we've been, those of us who've been sent to go and do things, or been on little pilgrims to various places. A lot of that, Mother Mary told me, was all about our picking up the codes or dropping them off or activating them through the crystal ley lines. And remember, the crystal ley lines have been returned to their original divine templates now, as is everything. And so it might be that in doing that, we're sent to do some of that also, to, even though we might have been to particular places, there might be a bit of deviation or new people sent, or you being sent to new places. They show up as very crystalline, the ley lines, to me now, and I think I spoke about this maybe a week or so ago. They show up as imagining that you see crystal that's like a fishing nylon, but it's made of like a crystal tube that's that fine, and it refracts all the light, so there's all this rainbow refractive light on it. Timeline loops, yes. Yeah, there are strange things happening with time, because the time constructs, I think that we here talked about time and the clock having really left on one level at the beginning of this year. But now we're in more of the dissolution of it for a bigger group, and so that's impacting as well. So for me, time can be very expanded one moment and then rapidly gone the next. And in a way, I feel that this is our learning to operate with the quantum. And I remember Gaia speaking about the way to engage with the quantum is that it responds to and matches to your intent or to your and to your need. Oh, so Sweet CC is saying 2016 things happening again in her field. So other people have spoken of that, and I know that some people have been also speaking about things from 2017 happening in their field. Sleep just like dozing. Okay. Yeah, so all these patterns, the patterns that we have, and so even for me, noticing what's changed this week. So my personal trainer's gone to Hawaii. It's a tough gig, and so I'm not going to my normal training sessions, and so that's like another program breaker, So and then this movement, this packing. So also the collective are beginning this process of moving into the unknown. They will be very wobbly in it because they aren't used to having anything that's not anchored, even though they won't necessarily have an understanding about being grounded in, connected into the earth grids. They are used to the patterns, to the repetitive habits. And so everything is putting that on a wobble. But this is a nice thing. Many first wavers are in development of mastery of this whole time juggle movement from one dimension to the other, and are now able to hold space for the next group. So as you come into your mastery with that enables you to be there steady and sure and holding space for others to come through that. I'm just going to look this word up to see, because I cried. It's a word I know, but I'm not that familiar with the meaning of it. So Gaia said we are in an auspicious time. So what that says, what the definition meaning of that is: promising success, propitious or propitious, opportune and favourable. This is us. This is what we are in. When she said that, I cried. So she said, it's an auspicious time. I cried tears, real tears, and this is this morning. And I have to tell you that she really showed up like the proud mother. That was the energy that she had, witnessing her children deal beautifully with puberty and coming into adolescence. That was the messaging that came. And that you are, this group, this collective, this first wavers are showing up as the winged elementals fluttering and dancing. So, that on that level, and then it links to the angelic, to your higher, to your ascended mastery, all of that on another level. But that was the visual metaphor that she showed me. It was the butterflies and the fairies and the dragonflies, and they were all moving around us at that time. So we are in a very special time, and so I want to invite you to be very honoring of yourself, to sit with your own being, to connect into your heart, to follow your internal guidance, to be the observer of nature and the beauty of that, to note the frequency. and to note what is happening around you in the ethers and in nature, and just be holding this beautiful space from your heart as we move through this very auspicious time, and this transformation and this transcendence, as we are, moving in these waves that are very much about our becoming these higher dimensional beings with a greater crystalline base, molecular structure, and more light codes, and more light filled. And interesting that on a meeting I had online with some of the people I'm going to Bimini with, what came through for me, and I have to do some research on it, so if you know anything about it, I'd be really happy to receive what you know. But I got that the group of women who are going all linked to the ruby, the order of the ruby. And then I know that the order of the ruby has a connection to the order of the emerald. And you'll know that I've been receiving just a whole stack of information about the emerald order, the emerald codes, the emerald tablets, the emerald crowns, the time of the emerald. But yeah, yesterday that's what came, that this group of women who are going are from the ruby order. So if any of you know anything about that, let me know. And I guess at some point soon I will dive in and get some information about that. But yeah, I am superbly being in the mastery of dealing with what's now and playing with this whole creation notion. Yeah, so let me know how you get on with that. So in here, Fiona's saying she left a job a month ago that was providing no joy. Good on you. Good on you. It's a long time ago, Mother Mary showed me that whole idea. You will have heard me say this lots because I love it, that joy is love dancing. But it's the actual feeling of the joy, that we will only do work in what brings us joy. That will be our new way, because holding frequency will become the priority. So you wouldn't be going to work to do something that you hated. And somebody said to me, but what about all the jobs that nobody would want to do? And I said, I don't think that's true. I think that every single job, there's somebody who derives some pleasure, some satisfaction. It's their thing. Dragon energy is auspicious. Yes, we are very much in the dragon energy. I've got a list of about 40 videos that I want to do, and one of them is about the dragon energy. The dragons, I come across them in the inner earth. They show up as having a variety of kind of spaces and places that they like to be in. And we're in the Chinese astrology, we're in the year of the green dragon, I think, or the wood dragon. So yeah, I'm sure that dragon energy is auspicious. They are incredible beings, the dragons. Uluru. Rubies to do with Uluru. And last year, Sweet CC said she clearly saw a ruby ring in her mind's eye. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so Uluru's, so a lot of people believe and speak of Uluru being a particular center, don't they? I can't remember. Is it solar plexus, maybe? I think that there might be several mixes of energies there. It's a pretty powerful vortex. And when did I go there? 2000 and, I wonder if I wrote it on here. I started writing a little list for myself. No, I'll have to have a think about that. But yeah, I'm going to do a whole series on all the sacred places that I visited, because I'm realizing that it's quite massive. But my Uluru experience was pretty interesting, and I learned a little bit about Aboriginal culture and Yeah, I felt the vibration. I felt the vibration in my bunk all night. Golden umbilical or umbilical. I like to say umbilical, and I don't know that it's even correct. Umbilical, but I like to say umbilical. Connect me to the one mother like a huge galactic energy the day they stopped climbing Uluru. Yeah, I was really I don't know what word, proud maybe. I was delighted that the Aboriginal people stood up and said, no, this is sacred and it will not be climbed. You will not put your feet on it. So it's not, it's maybe it was just after that. I think was October. I don't know what that means. Anyway, that's when I was there, just after they had made that prohibitive. So we're in exciting times. Our bodies are coming into this mastery. We are becoming the people who are holding space for the next, and we're really transcending into this higher dimensional space, creating our own reality every moment in front of us. And Carolyn's saying she climbed Uluru when she was, but I can't see what age, because my program puts a heart right there. But if I put this in here, the number of change, when she was 8. Yeah, so that's the other thing. Thank you for writing that, even though I'm sure that wasn't your intention to prompt me to write about or to speak about the 8. To me, we are in the throes of the experience of the Lionsgate energies, and that's, to me, this is all going to be about the codes of creation for the new. So we're getting this coming in. It's coming in more and more strongly, and it will come in a downpour during that time. It's a very powerful, it's maybe the most powerful. It is going to be, to me, it's the 888. It's the 8th day of the 8th month. We're in an 8 year. And so it's got all of this energy. If you think about the movement, the flow of the 8, that's creation. And then there's 3 of them, so that's the Trinity. And then we could look at that being the masculine and the feminine, or the left and the right, the higher and the lower. There's so many ways that we can view it, but the 888, I want to call it a passageway. It's a portal. It's already opened, and let us be in the delight of what shows up for our new way of being. 5s everywhere. All right, so I wish you lots of love and big hugs, and I will return and speak again soon. I am being pretty, I feel anyway, I'm being pretty masterful with my time for all that is happening in my life. The Bimini trip, I am leaving here on the 29th of August. So yes, yeah, I've got one more month here in the country till I go there, and I'm not sure, haven't got to the space yet where I know whether I'm leaving this house before I go or when I get back, but I'm feeling my intention is to exit here. So anyone who's looking to have a personal in-person session with me, it might be that this is the last month I do that for a few months. When I move, I'm going to have a little bit of time where I just see Zoom clients. So if that interests you, then, August, if you want to come in person, that is. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Much love. There's the button. Moved. Zoom does that. If you work with Zoom, it's like every second time you open it, something's changed. And blessings to you, Chrissy. Thank you.